Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Had to come on early. You're going to be doing a little bit of a switch because I wanted to do this at 4 o'clock, but it's a little after 2:30 now. But there was a little bit of a weather notice coming in, and I don't want Facebook to jack up on me, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. And sorry about that, but that's where we're at. So I'm going to shave. Let's see. I'm going to save this over to the page, and then we're going to go live and draw this card. And that is done. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to go right into this. This is Eric Larson's Savage Dragon, which I'm a huge fan of. And I know this is a little bit smaller than what I normally do, but I decided to take a little better action pose out of it and go from there. So I think this is going to work out just fine. And with this being so small, it should come off pretty quick, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So, but I'm going to be knocking this out so that I can get that off the table for today, because I didn't want to miss you guys because of the weather and stuff. And like I said, I'm not sure what the weather is going to do, but they gave us an advisory of a possible storm coming in. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to put my folks at risk for that. Missing the show because the power knocking out, that would be a bummer. But here we go anyway. If I sound a little tired, it's because of the fact that I was up very late working on my books so that I can release them this weekend. I have a couple of comics going out and a couple of self-help books. So, and I'm doing a record-setting 4 books in a month on CreateSpace and Amazon, which is rare for them to have that many books put out anymore, especially in the bestseller status. And it's going to be interesting to see, to say the least. Let's just leave it that way. Hopefully you guys will pick them up, and we'll go from there and see. But like I said, I'm not trying to solicit or anything like that. I'm just making mention because I got asked earlier. It's like, man, you just are not on a lot today. What's going on? And I was like, well, just taking it easy today, enjoying the weekend. And unfortunately, this weather is that frosty, muggy, misty, nasty weather. And I'm a winter person. I love wintertime. And this is just that muggy, nasty, stormy weather because we think it's going to be a wet year this year. Everybody I've talked to thinks it's going to be a wet year here because it was so warm the last 2 winters. So we're trying to figure out if it's going to be nasty or what yet. Because normally we have offset years here. We have seasonal strikes here. And as we call them. And it gets a little odd now and again. So let's see here. Gonna knock out the rest of that collar, and I wanted to make it a little awkward in the way it went off of his shirt there, because I wanted it to look a little more torn up. Draw the front side here so we can make that come up and look like a collar. Making his tie look all twisted. like it when the dragon gets his shirt completely shredded, because it looks, it looks like a bad 70s type of movie, with the big chest and stuff, because he's a hairy guy. It makes it awkward. Trying to make that collar torn up there a little bit so it still stays on. So I decided to mix things up a little bit, as you guys can tell with the card. I just wanted to do something a little different and a little fun. So that's why we have that one going. Got asked a composition question, and I wanted to answer that too. People have been asking me because of me doing the how-to course that I'm building up and about to release as well this next week. And everybody keeps asking me about it and wondering what I would do for comic pages and composition and things like that if I would give specific tips. And I was like, okay, I can do that to an extent anyway. And there were just some people asking about it. I thought I might touch on that at the end of this. If you guys really want to know, I may do a quick video on it. Nothing too major. I'll keep it crash course style so you can get the instant effect out of it and then move on. I don't want to have an hour-long video on, the power of perspective kind of thing like that. Yeah. I hate those videos. So the ones that last for like ages, it's just, come on, man, get to the point. You can show me that whole technique in 10 minutes instead of making a 30-minute video about it, That's part of why I'm doing that course, is because I want it to be effective, not strung out. I don't do fluff and stuff type content. It just bothers the crap out of me. That's a technical term, by the way. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it, and I don't do it. And I don't support it a lot because of the fact that, granted, some stuff, like, I mean, if you're like making rocket fuel or something, that would be something you would need a lot of. But for the most part, if you're just drawing stuff, man, they should tell you what it is and move on, give you the technique and let you out. And that's the reason I like to do these types of videos. Very short, sweet, very direct. I mean, there's courses that run on for hours on end, and I like to do those as well because of the fact that they're teaching me multiple things. But, the guys that go on for, I don't know, if you take more than 2 hours and you give me a video that's going to show me perspective in that 2 hours, and if I walk away where I don't have to study anything else from you on that topic, then we're golden. But if I have to go in and, you give me 2 hours worth of perspective work and you didn't teach me anything that I can apply today, then I'm not going to learn anything else from you. And I tell people all the time, you have to give respectable content to people, because there's guys out there that'll go for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And it's just, come on, man. I don't want to sit there and watch you draw comics. I want to figure out, show me the technique of drawing the comic, not drawing the comic to where it's just a video about you drawing the comic. That's the reason I like the old Star, I think it was Stardust videos that they did it on, the Legends of Comics. Todd McFarlane was in that, Rob Liefeld was in that, John Romita was in that. I even think they did one with Will Eisner, which was phenomenal. I have all those videos, but I have them back on cassette and DVD. Wow, big me, huh? But anyway, you can go on YouTube and check those out now. Just do a search for World's Greatest Comic Artist, and they'll pop up. Jim Lee was in there, a few others, and anyway, Stan Lee hosted the thing, and he interviewed serious greats. And did I say serious? So, yeah, I want to do something that where you guys are going to be able to go off and learn something and apply it, because that's something I don't want to have to go through, you know. And formal art school, it's great for what it is. Don't get me wrong. Everybody needs the basics, and you gotta put in the time and the work, but it's not practical the way they teach it now. You know, formal art just isn't comic art. And I hear the Kubert School is still doing really well. I've taken a couple of their mail order courses over the years. I really like those guys. Andy and Adam are phenomenal guys and great artists. But and of course, anybody that knows Joe's work is just nuts. But that's just one of those things, you know. I hear about that stuff all the time, and I appreciate you guys taking the time out to ask me about it. But we're going to have to get that underway. You can get that bad boy posted up there where you guys can get it. And that's if you want to. I'm not forcing anybody to buy anything, like I said. But the only reason I mention is because somebody asked me about the perspective thing in composition. Not that that would be a cool thing to walk through real quick, because I can do it in a couple of seconds with one example really fast for you. And I may put it at the end of this video, depending on when I get this card done. We'll see. I may have to do it from another video. I decided I wanted to beef up that thumb a little bit. So I'll put that shadow line in there. Now, what you're maybe looking at here, this is not some kind of funny frame or whatever. But what I'm doing here is I'm drawing the shirt. I left the sleeves right at the wrist because I like him to do the Hulk thing where he ends up with his shirt, you know, because that's a clutched area of fabric, so it shouldn't tear off as much, you know, because of the buttons and whatnot. Being a uniform, that should be one of the last places that tears off. So I always thought when he hulked out, you know, and lost his shirt, that was one of the things that always cracked me up. It's like he has no sleeves. He's turned it into a muscle shirt. And that was one of the things that just used to bust me up to no end, especially in the cartoon series, because he was always losing his shirt. He's like Ryan Gosling. And no offense to the fans that like Gosling's work, I'm very interested in seeing him in the new Blade Runner film coming out soon. But yeah, the dude can't keep his shirt on. So he's notorious for losing his shirt. He does it every chance he gets. Let's see. Put in the zigzag there. The old school comics pants is zigzag. When you're drawing pants and you got to draw, you know, you want pleats or wrinkles in it, draw that zigzag like that and then draw hard lines right through it, and it'll instantly ding. .501 don't. Let's see here what we get out of this. I wanted to run that across that way, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna put that behind. because he started carrying a utility belt later. I mean, it's just his law enforcement belt, but he's added packs to it with just about everything that you can think of underneath there. Okay. There we go. Show the outside of the leg right there. Ding. Okay. Now we'll get that other arm. And then I got to start doing the detailing because this dude is very hairy. Which is kind of funny since he's reptilian. But put that fold down there. Put the rip up there. Oh, he's got that rip on his chest. And the badge always stays on, no matter what. That's become kind of a cartoony trademark. Whenever his shirt gets ripped up, his badge stays on no matter what. I think that's like when the Hulk rips his pants. You know, I had it pointed out to me. I've mentioned it before on the show. When the Hulk changes, his pants go from, you know, a size 32 up to like a size 70 when he when he hulks out, and they still stay on. So that's a magic fabric. That is a magic fabric. And if you don't know this character, which I hope you do, if you don't know this character, he's got really, really massive arms, way bigger than I've proportioned him here, but it'll work for what I'm doing. Excuse me. But yeah, that's one of the things that he's known for, is these really massive arms. Okay, making sure I got everything on here. But the way that I draw him is a little leaner. So, and I'll cut his eyes over this way where he's not looking at us, but he's like looking up at somebody he's fighting. Because he has really dark eyes. And they're pressed. They're an oval shape or even a rectangular shape. They're not human-like. So it's a different expression because his eyes are very narrow in comparison to what you would draw with other characters. I mean, every rendition of the character has that look. His son has more human eyes because he's half, or even more so human. I don't know what the percentage is for the dragon himself. And I like drawing a shorter fin too. I don't like drawing that massive big fin because it just doesn't look proportionate to me. So I tend to draw the fin a lot shorter. Go ahead and cut in the other side of that arm there. There we go. Cool deal. And I'm going to call that one done, because I will go in when I ink him and I'll put in all the hair and all that. I don't want to mess it up and put a bunch of pencil marks across it and then it not work out. I'll ink that one before I go off and do that. And I wanted to cut that eye down and put in that big eyebrow, because he has these massive eyebrows. Which again is funny because of the fact that he has no hair. You know, being reptilian, he would have no hair. But now, I want to take a second. I'm in the process of inking this, but I wanted to take a second to answer a composition problem that somebody's watching. I on a regular basis has mentioned, and I just wanted to take a second and show you guys. Okay. The way composition works is basically it's taking perspective and putting your characters in a position that gives a flow throughout the whole image. Okay, and this will happen on a comic page as well as in an individual image. I'm going to show you an example in an individual image, then I'll grab a page real quick and show you guys in the flow as well. Okay, in the comic industry we typically call it page flow. Okay, but composition is what it is, and I'll show you real quick. We start at the ram horn. Okay, we start at the ram horn and we go to the focal point of the mountain back here. Then we go to Skeletor's face. Then you go to the fist. Then you go back up, and it kind of shoots back up into the ram's head. So you have a kind of a circular flow through here, and that's what gives it that depth and perception that way, because of the fact that it's a flow. And that's what composition is. It's placement to where everything is in sequence to each other, to where it can make a shape, whether it be a triangle between, you know, these three, or it be a square between these four, or it be circular where it goes around like this at an angle. And that's what I was going for, is a circular motion. And it doesn't matter if you naturally see it coming back from this direction or this direction. And it doesn't matter where you start. What focal point hits you of interest is where you're going to hit it. You know, that fist is right in your face. That face is right in your face. Snake Mountain is a prominent point. The ram head is a prominent point. No matter what focal point you hit, you're definitely going to go around this way because of the fact, you know, either direction to see that flow. That's composition in a panel. Okay, to make sure everything has a synergy about it and it goes through the panel. That is composition on a panel. Let me grab a page real quick. I'll grab two of these because they're two of my Lone Rider pages, because of the fact that they're going to be a lot cleaner to go for. I'll show you guys this one. This is a page from Lone Rider. It's not colored yet. This is the black and white test print. So throughout this page, if you look really good at this point, what you're going to see is this panel has composition. It's got an angle that goes through it, so it goes through the page, boom, leading you through the panel, right? And as it comes across from the end of panel 1 up in this corner, it's going to lead you right across that hair right there, that hand, and that face right to the primary focal point of that expression in the panel. Then it's going to cut back across. It goes down through the hat, goes right up through his head, and goes right up, eye contact, and then it flows straight across to the bottom where you have that. So it zigzags back and forth. See, it goes from that top panel down through here off the end of the fingertips, down through the hat, back to the major black, up to his eye point, eye point, eye point, eye point, eye point, and out the page. And that's the way it goes. It just goes boom, 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 boom. So that's the way it works. On this page, same thing. You have the entryway of the girls looking in the direction you want them to go. So that's the reason I laid that out that way. So it goes this way. You notice her back here because it's line of sight right across the page like that. So it goes from her face and mom's face, looking at the target, which is the focal point, looking at the doctor, the kid, and the main character back here, Jim. Goes back down off of this way, pointing down this way. And see how that thumb points right there? You see how that thumb points? I hope you guys can see that. It goes boom, straight across to his face. So now you have that, and he's looking down this way. So it goes down across here, up to his face, which is looking back across this way. And then when you see him looking down at his son in the final panel, the page goes this direction to the ladies in the final panel, and it leads you right off the page. That is composition and page flow. If you understand that about comics art, you will be able to draw anything you want and make it always look really good. Now think about how the result of that is in a movie or in a comic book that you think sucks. If you ever watch a movie and it seems choppy, it doesn't have composition in its direction. It's chopped off. Where it'll go from one scene to another and it doesn't make transition, or it doesn't make sense in the way they did it. The reason is because it has no flow through it, okay, in the film. And same thing in comics pages. Well, if you don't have that flow, that page flow throughout, where you have that composition synergy, it'll fry it. And you'll be like, man, this guy draws great, but the artwork isn't as good as the storytelling, because you'll say the storytelling isn't good. The reason is because you're seeing the symbols of what he's drawing, but you're not, or her in this case maybe as well. You're seeing the artwork, the pretty artwork, but you're not seeing the story flow, and that's why you say people have no storytelling in certain comics. You know, this composition right here is telling a picture and story flow, and the composition itself is set up that way because you know something's going on in the story by his expression. He's ticked off and defensive, and he's looking at something off panel. He's got his fist clutched, so he's ready to attack, and his body language has a rhythm to it, right? It's got that flow through it to where he looks like he's ready to pounce and could do anything he needs to at the time. That's also composition. So think about that as if you're designing to do comic art and you want to make a page flow, think about that. It's composition is a combination of perspective and body language and placement to make it have a synergetic shape, and it has to flow the eye through the page. So I hope that helps, and I hope that answers the question. I didn't expect to do a whole tutorial on it, but I thought I'd give you guys a couple of minutes, and we're going to call it a day on that. So anyway, there's the dragon. I hope you guys dig it. Talk to you later.